So I did some personal research after watching this episode of God Eater. And the reason for this is because of a certain name that popped up, and it really didn't dawn on me beforehand when I was watching the series until just now. And I decided to look it up because very recently I've been getting into a game called Smite, been playing a lot of Smite, and Fenrir is one of my personal favorites to play, like Fenrir with a top hat. And I realized that, like, the city was called, like, Fenrir. And I started, thinking about it. I know Fenrir is kind of like the son of Loki, if I'm correct, from mythology. And Fenrir is supposed to eat Thor and Odin, supposed to just eat them and devour them, kind of. And then, after thinking about that, after reading, the lore and stuff on Fenrir on Smite, and then going to, Norse mythology and reading up on it, I was correct. And I'm thinking, like, what's strange is the events of God Eater, like this episode and the series' structure's foundation, is based off of Norse mythology. Like, let me explain. As we know, the main, characters are God Eaters. They are God Eaters. And it's very ironic when you start piecing together Norse mythology on top of this, because, let me explain, let me give some brief, background here. Fenrir is the son of Loki. And if you know who Loki is a fucking trickster. He's a trickster, and, he's kind of not really the biological son of Odin. And he kind of, he had a son, and then the son Fenrir came around and eventually would devour Odin, Thor, and all of them, and it would become an event of Ragnarok. That's what would happen. And if you think about it, this episode was a perfect example of what I'm explaining, because the scientist at the end of the episode could be considered Loki, or the trickster, because at the end, when you see, like, the note being written down by the scientist, he decides to not actually give all the details of what happened in this experiment and lied about it, trickster ways, and he indirectly gave birth to Fenrir. Fenrir is the God Eaters, because Fenrir eats gods. Very ironic. Very fucking ironic if you think about it in that type of terms. So, the God Eaters are Fenrir. The scientists are Loki. That's fucking weird. It's really fucking weird if you start thinking about it like that. And so, it's just, the more you know of a structure of a series and more of what probably drives the story, or some of the writer's thought process when they're writing the story, it kind of lets you appreciate the series a little bit more. Of course, this is nothing that you should say, holy shit, this is amazing, because, using mythology is done a lot in anime, but it just, when you know these type of things about a certain series, it makes you appreciate the writing that is done in the series, especially when it comes to some of the symbolism that's used, especially with this episode with the devouring, to the God Eaters, to the Fenrir city, and then all sorts of other different references to Norse mythology. It's pretty crazy. So, enough of that. I think most likely none of you want to hear much about that. Let's get into the episode review. So, the episode is finally here. After a huge-ass fucking delay, it is finally here. And I didn't think the episode was going to be coming out this week as well, because I was told on Twitter, and I was given a link, that supposedly God Eater was going to be on break this week as well. And so, I don't know if it's supposed to be for next week's episode, or if that was just a mistranslation or something that was sent to me. But I'm glad to see God Eater back, because this has definitely been one of the rockiest starts of any series of this anime season. Like, God Eater has had, been delayed for the first couple weeks, and then, it has, like, episode 4 delayed. I mean, it's had a very rocky start. It has. Let's face it, okay? And I'm glad it, at the very least, is still retaining some of the quality it has, along with some of the storytelling elements. Of course, some will be quick to label this as an Attack on Titan clone, but I've already covered that many times in previous reviews, so I'm not even going to get into that. But for now, though, I'm glad to see it back, because it sucks that this series is getting delayed so much. It just really goes to show you that Ufotable isn't, impenetrable when it comes to budget issues and different things like that, because this series is definitely killing them right now. It's fucking killing them. But yeah, getting back on topic, let's talk about the episode. So the main point of this episode is kind of straight to the point. It's about where our main characters like Linka and Kota and all that, they form a team with Elisa, the new God Eater that was introduced like last episode or whatever. they form a team with the, Unit 1. I think it's Unit 1. Please forgive me if I got that incorrect. They form a team, and they go off on a mission to collect cores. Devour cores, collect cores for this town, or this island that they're making, and this island will house all of humanity. And so they're going around hunting down Origami because they want to get the cores from them before they can make this giant-ass island city that houses humanity, which will have them all in one place, and where, Origami will come and eat them all at once. But let's not think about that, okay? Let's not think about that. Let's just think about what this episode is about. So, first impressions of Elisa after this episode, she's a bitch. Like, I like her character design, I like her voice actor, she was a badass in last week's episode. I will not deny that. She was a fucking badass. Or, not last week's episode, whoa, there was no episode last week. 2 weeks ago. She was a badass in that episode, and she was fucking enjoyable as a character. But seeing some of her actions in this episode, it really just agitates me, because she decides to let one of her teammates, like Linka and all that, she didn't listen to them, and he was fighting by himself. She's like, oh, I already hit my quota, I'm not helping you guys. And I'm thinking, like, you're the type of person I wouldn't want to be around. I wouldn't, only caring about them numbers and quota, and I'm like, that hit a nerve for me. That hit a fucking nerve. So, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, Elisa, if you want to become one of the worst characters to me personally from this series, continue doing what you're doing if you want to hit that goal. Because that attitude right there, she might have her reasons, but for now, after witnessing that, it really agitates me. Hit a nerve. It fucking hit a nerve. Let's put it that way. So, yeah. Episode, straight to the point. It was just about showcasing their goal, the mission of the series, to collect cores for this town that they're making. And then also, the other example, what we got to see in this episode, is seeing that humans that don't have the potential to be a god eater, they get thrown away. For instance, like, if you want to come to this area, like, the branch, Far East branch, you won't be able to come in there and stay there if you can't become a god eater. For instance, if your family doesn't have the potential to be a god eater, your family's like, fuck you, you're out of here, and that's how they are. So, it's kind of messed up, really, because normal humans just get screwed over and they're getting killed off, so yeah. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Y'all have a wonderful day or not, wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.